Greetings gastronauts, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today, well, we've got Easter coming up, so I've got to make an Easter egg, and the kind of Easter egg I'm going to try and make is not unlike one of these, a Cadbury's Creme Egg, except it'll be better. So a couple of quick shout outs first, one for Emma Marshall who requested that I do this, and also for a new fan who's been binge watching all my videos, poor thing. I can't really pronounce the name, it's Basts, and she's a pagan, so Easter egg really probably isn't appropriate, but Easter egg might be. Anyway, should be a lot of fun, let's do it. Right, ingredients for the eggshells. I've got Cadbury's Dairy Milk chocolate. This is the only kind that's acceptable. Some silicone egg moulds, and that's it. For the filling, I'm going to do a marshmallow fondant. So I've got some marshmallows, I've got some icing sugar, confectioner's sugar, I've got some golden syrup or light corn syrup, a bit of lemon juice, a bit of vanilla flavouring, and a bit of food colouring for the yolks. So first thing to do, make the shells, get them cool. Now you get these off the internet, and it seems this is the only model that anybody sells, and it's a bit rubbish really, because you've got 3 stripy patterned ones, you've got 3 wiggly stripy dotty patterned ones, so that's a bit rubbish. Anyway, I'm only going to make 2 because I want to keep my remaining teeth for a bit longer. And you will notice they're actually quite large for a cream egg, because there's your actual modern day minuscule shrunken cream egg. Honestly, they think we don't notice when they keep making the things smaller and change the chocolate. These used to be covered in Cadbury's Dairy Milk chocolate, they're not now. You think we don't notice? You know, honestly, Toblerones, things like this, wagon wheels, they get smaller just so that the manufacturers can keep the price the same. We're not stupid, we know about inflation. If your ingredient cost goes up, put a penny or 2 on the price. That's okay. But don't mess with this. It's a planetary institution. Duh. End of rant. Right, let's make some eggshells. Right, now working with chocolate is, it's a messy business whatever you do, but I'm going to kind of try and simplify it by not using the traditional sort of double boiler method, because you can do it in the microwave and it works just as well, I think. So I've got half the bar, that was 200 grams. I've got 100 grams of the chocolate broken into bits, and I'm going to put most of them in a bowl. Keep a few behind for finishing it off with. I'll tell you why when we get there. And what you want to do is put that in the microwave, blast it for 30 seconds, give it a stir, then keep on giving it 20-second blasts and stir in between until it's all melted. Okay, that's all melty, and now what we do is we pop in the unmelted bits of chocolate, because this will temper it, which means it kind of aligns all the crystals in the chocolate so that they look shiny and not muddy. This is the theory. So the residual heat will melt the chocolate eventually. Come on. But it's not completely stupid. Every chocolate mould I've been able to buy in the past, or needed to buy, has been dark brown chocolate coloured, which is rubbish because it means you can't see the chocolate. So this is a nice contrasting colour, so I'll be able to see if there's any holes in the chocolate when I put it in. So, good old spoonful in each one, and I didn't pay attention to the patterns that I've put them into, so we could end up with anything. Anyway, doesn't matter that much. So just give it a spread it out, and we'll just let that sit and cool at its own time. I'm not going to put it in the fridge because we need to start messing about with it and shaping it as it cools, but we don't want it to be completely set. So what you can start to do is just kind of wiggle it so that the chocolate runs up the walls, because we want the rim to be quite thick so we can stick the two halves together. Give it help with the spoon. Right, those are looking reasonably evenly coated, so I'll stick that in the fridge. Right, to make the fondant, I've got some marshmallows. I'm not doing quantities, I'm just, you know, doing ratios. For some reason this bag contains pink and white marshmallows, I don't know why. So I've picked out the white ones and I will eat the pink ones at my leisure. Now we need to melt this the same way as melting a chocolate. 30-second blast in the microwave to start with, and then repeated 20-second blasts and stirs until it's melted. Actually that took 30 seconds and then I gave it another 10 seconds because oh, they're really melty. So you want about the same quantity of icing sugar or confectioner's sugar as you have marshmallow. That needs sifting, oh my goodness. Well, shows you how often I use this icing sugar, which is almost never. It's really pretty cakey, so I'm just going to have to force it through the sieve. Right, I added a bit of water to that because it was getting really stiff. And you know your actual cream egg fondant is pretty runny. So now I'm going to add some golden syrup. That much. Doesn't that look great? Whoa! Bit of lemon juice. And a bit of vanilla essence powder stuff. Oh, it tastes heavenly. It is too runny though, so I think a bit more icing sugar. So I think that's the kind of texture we're after. Now I'm gonna put about a quarter of this in a little bowl because this will be our egg yolks. So I've added a little bit more sugar to this mix because I've got this idea that that will make it firmer. I've got this idea that the old cream eggs, the yolks were distinct from the whites, but the ones I've had recently, they're not. They're just a blob. Well, they're like a streak, but they're not, you know, anything like a real egg yolk. And that was far too much colour. Anyway, they'll be colourful. Now we're almost ready to put it together, so I'm just shaving off the excess from the rims of the eggs, which would be easier if this was not a floppy thing. Try not to shave off too much silicone because that doesn't taste good and probably isn't good for you. And then you want to melt the remaining chocolate to be your glue. So what have I got? Stripy, stripy, spotty, spotty. So those two will be the bottoms. So let's put some goop in each one, and actually a smaller amount of goop in the top bits and a blob of yellow goop on each bottom bit. So just scrape any excess goop off the edge of the chocolate and then carefully spread some of the melted chocolate onto the edges. Actually, it's easier if you spread it onto the top bits because they haven't got goop up to the rim. Okay, and then pop one of your tops out and squeeze it onto the corresponding bottom, as it were. Right, here's my eggs. I trimmed off the excess around the rims, but they are actually mismatched because whoever made them didn't take care to match up the two halves very well. Sacked. Same with that one. Anyway, let's oh, so I just weighed it. Your original cream egg weighs 40 grams. This weighs 90. So bargain. Anyway, let's cut them in half. Ugh. And yeah. Not exactly the effect I was hoping for, but let's have a taste. Mmm. Mmm. That's not half bad, actually. Yeah. Looks weird, but so does this. Mmm. Mmm. Nom nom nom. Right, little confession. When I did the taste test, I didn't actually try any of the yolk part. And I should have done, because, well, it was horrible. You saw me put far too much food colouring in there. And, yeah, normally you can't taste food colouring, but this one you can. Also, it's turmeric based, it's not the good old-fashioned tartrazine, which used to be used for yellow and orange, and has been banned. So yeah, if you do make this, go easy on the food colouring. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Now please do the usual: shares, likes, subscriptions, donations, patronage, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching and see you next time.